Hello, everyone. This is Glazer of the Snap Judgments podcast. And before we go any further, I want you to either check out now or remember to check out the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube. Over on the Snap Zone YouTube is the episode of Snap Judgments podcast for this week. It's featuring two of our very best guests ever. Nina is Noob and Super Tech God. And let me just tell you, we go over all things patch, and we had an absolute blast recording yesterday. It should be up as you see this. It went up yesterday on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at two sleeper decks that helped get people infinite, that helped get our viewers or friends infinite. One is a Surfer Thanos, and one is an infinite Quake deck. We do an infinite Quake deck every month because one of our friends does it. Before we go any further, first things first, I want you to like and subscribe to this video. Sub first, then like. Don't forget to sub. We bring you two decks every weekday, and if something comes up, you'll note there was a video yesterday afternoon because a new deck came up that I thought I had to get to you before it went viral. Our goal is to get you decks that will get you infinite before the meta catches on. That's a great way to steal extra cubes to win more, right? The meta doesn't know that these good decks exist as you do, so you can take advantage of that. Important note. As you pick up a new deck, I'm actually hearing this from a lot of listeners. They'll play it for like 5 games and struggle and be like, I'm done with this. Please, please, please practice the deck in Proving Grounds before you take it on ladder if you're concerned about your ladder performance. There is a high learning curve for a lot of decks in Marvel Snap, and unless you are always a pick up and play player, give it a moment in Proving Grounds. When you get comfortable, take it to ladder, reap the rewards. Last thing before we get to the actual decks, the Cosmic Wildfire bundle is out. Over on Marvel Snap Zone, we review every single bundle that exists, and this is the extraordinarily rare 5-star bundle. It comes with enough collector's tokens to buy a Series 5 card. And yes, the new system makes it easier to get cards, but having that backup in tokens is huge. This is the best bundle for the next several months as far as data mines have revealed. Something else could come up that's better, but as of right now, this is the best value for your money. So if you can manage to afford this, please check it out. I'm not going to go over the math for you. You can check the article on Marvel Snap Zone, or you can Google one of our two friends. We have Savage Yeti YT. That is one of our friends, and Wolver Snap, another of our friends. Both go over the actual math about what makes these bundles so great or poor, as the case may be. But both of them and our friend Carolus, who does the write-up on Marvel Snap Zone, have said this bundle's value is absolutely through the roof. One of the best bundles they've ever released. If you can afford it, don't miss out. Hopefully, you can. All right, we are going to now move along to today's decks. Our first deck is going to be a Thanos Conquest Surfer deck. It was supposed to be a Conquest deck, but something happened along the way. Our friend Fathor Newman, another small YouTuber, and you gotta support the little. If you're not supporting some smaller YouTubers, I strongly urge you to do so. Every little bit helps us, the smaller content creators, and we work really hard. We work doubly hard to try and bring you the best content. Fathor Newman is one of our friends. He releases really long deck guides, and he chats with you, and he's just the most charming and sweet person. So check out Fathor. This deck he built and was like, oh my god, this is way better than I thought. You need to put this on sleeper decks. I was like, I don't know. So I tried it and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But one of his and our viewers brought this deck over to ladder, and in 5 hours went from 87 to 100. One sitting, 5 hours. He said it was a casual sitting. I have questions about how casual a 5-hour sitting is, but from 87 to infinite, this is an infinite verified deck. It is worth playing. It is worth trying out. The game plans are simple here. You've got your Carnage, Killmonger, and Venom to largely eat stones. Eating those stones discounts death. You want to play a regular Surfer game plan of locking down lanes with Storm, getting Brood out for a bunch of power, Polarising cards out where they want to go, to end the game by playing a very cheap Death and Surfer. If you can get Death down to 0, a 0-cost Death Maximus and Surfer, 0-cost Death whatever and Surfer is insanely strong. Carnage also ends up about 8 power. There is a little bit of anti-synergy you need to be careful of with Shadow King, in that he can lower the power of Carnage and Venom, which means I'm not 1,000% sure he should be in the deck. If he is not in the deck, I think the absolute replacement is the newly buffed Nakia. Nakia is absolutely great with the stones, with everything in this deck. Makes death cheap really quickly. Makes Venom when it eats the stones bigger. Makes stones that stay out more powerful. Gives you just a huge buff all around. The other card I'm not 1,000% sold on is Rogue. I think Rogue can be two other cards. Rogue can be either Juggernaut to amplify the storm power, although in a Thanos deck you're less likely to see that combo. So the card I would replace it with is the newly spotlighted Jean Grey. I think Jean Grey with Thanos works really, really well because you can play into that Thanos lane and get out of there with no trouble. I don't know if those changes are better. I haven't had a chance to test them yet, and I know this version has hit Infinite, but that's my gut feeling for this deck. I think this deck is really, really good. By the way, if you're interested in Surfer decks, again, make sure to check out yesterday afternoon's video. I think that Safety came up with another tier 1 Surfer deck, the likes of which I have not yet seen. So we've got a bunch of really cool, unique decks for you. Hopefully you're enjoying. Our second, that's not the deck I'm looking for in any way, shape, or form. We're going to go right over here to my decks on Marvel Snap Zone, and I'm going to actually hit the deck I'm looking for. We are looking for King Koala's Infinite Quake for July. Sorry about this, folks. You'll live. And we're going to open it so that y'all can see it properly. This is Infinite Quake. It's worth the wait. King Koala is a member of our Discord. We have our corner of the Marvel Snap Zone Discord, where we hang out basically all the time with a number of our viewers, listeners. It's a really, really great vibe. A few content creators hang out in and out of there. You should probably check it out. But King Koala is one of those people. And King Koala, every single month, hits Infinite with Quake. This is my favorite version of the Infinite Quake list. It took the longest to develop, and I think it's worth it. This deck does a little bit of everything. So, it's got Craven, because with Silk bouncing around the board, Craven often gets very big. It's got Miles, because with Silk bouncing around the board, Miles almost always costs 1. Hopefully, by the time you see this, they fixed it, but it's worth knowing that for the time being, Killmonger is kind of broken in that it will kill Miles, it will kill Stature, but it won't kill something reduced to 0 or increased to 2, because there's a little bug. I'm hoping that Second Dinner gets right on that and fixes it. It's also got the Invisible Woman Killmonger, Invisible Woman Shang-Chi combo, which basically guarantees you losing priority so that you can win the game. Turn 3, your general goal is to storm. Your opponent's going to play into that storm lane thinking it's going to be locked up. The next thing you do is you play Quake and one of your 2-drops. Whatever 2-drop that may be is obviously dependent on the situation. If it's Evo, a high evolutionary deck you're facing, I suggest Luke Cage. If you have Miles in hand, I suggest it's Silk, because Silk will also jump into that lane and potentially win it. That stormed lane and potentially win it. Jeff does the same thing, also at making Miles work, etc., etc. You move that storm location elsewhere where your opponent wasn't expecting it, and now you have ways to get into that lane and they don't. Your job then is to find a way to win another lane. That's where Spider-Man comes in. If you can Spider-Man on turn 5, you're very likely to win. If you Captain Marvel on turn 6, you will move wherever you need to win. You've also got the combination on turn 6 of Invisible Woman and Shanger, Invisible Woman and Killmonger to shut down the opponent. This deck is super sweet. King Koala urges me every single month to give the following disclaimer. This is not easy to play. Don't think you're just going to pick up and win with this deck, but this is literally my favorite, I think, ever of the Infinite Quake decks. It is more straightforward to play than the others and ridiculously fun. Invisible Woman is kind of OP, y'all. All right, that's it for today's Snap Take. That's it for hopefully this week's Snap Take. I don't want to be back with another afternoon video. I've done enough of those this week, but if anything breaks, I will be. I hope y'all sub. I hope y'all have an awesome, awesome weekend. I'll see you Monday for another Snap Take. Don't forget Marvel Snap Zone's YouTube for the podcast, and tomorrow on Marvel Snap Zone, well, every day on Marvel Snap Zone, there's a deck of the day, but tomorrow on Marvel Snap Zone will also be Sleeper Decks of the Week, which is a huge video that has gameplay for an absolute ton of the decks featured this week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to sub. Peace all.